guys going, did we already go over this? Yes, we did. But we're going to look at it from a different angle. Yeah. We love Gaze. He's a jerk. He's a good servant sometimes. Other times he's not such a good servant. Sometimes he gets a mind of his own. And when we get a mind of our own, that gives us problems. Amen? But we're still dealing with pride. We're dealing with pride of position. My main focus is on Naaman, but even with Naaman was a servant under a leader. Also, Gehazi was a servant under a leader. And they both have this sense of entitlement. They both have this sense of, well, because I'm somebody special, I think I can do what I want. Or it should be given to me in a certain way, or it should be done a certain way. I've already got my mind. I've already presumed how it's supposed to be. See, there's also pride and presumption. How many of you already presume what things are going to be, how they're going to be, and you already got this mindset, this is exactly how it's going to go, and then when it turns out the wrong way, then you get all upset about it. See, when we go into things presuming or assuming, you know what that means. You take the first three letters and you make decide the third, fourth letter, and then the last two letters, you get exactly what that makes you. And we'll go from there. I'll let you figure that out in a minute. But whenever you do these things, you get your mind totally in the wrong place. You get your heart totally in the wrong place. Instead of going in and saying, God, whatever you want, your will be done, you've already got in your mind, this is my will, and this is how it's going to be done. I've already got my check-off list. If it doesn't go by this list, you're fired. It doesn't work that way with God. You can't give God your list and say, here, God, this is how you do it. He said his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts, they're high above. It doesn't work that way. But when we go through this, I was looking at this thing, and it really is, it's a pride of position. We get positions in life. We get leadership positions. We get a title. We get all these other things, or we get a certain job, and somehow we think we're better than else because we have this job and they don't have this job, or they work in that particular field, and we get this positional pride, and it blinds us to be able to serve. We're to be servants no matter where we are. Amen. We're to serve people because that's what God would do no matter where he was. He was the Son of God and came and washed dirty disciples' feet. Okay? He didn't have a positional pride. He had confidence in who he was because he knew he was the Son of God. But that didn't take away from what his purpose was. His purpose was to come to serve and to set the example for us. My question and my challenge is, do we take a positional pride in wherever we're at for whatever reason? Or do we keep in the back of our minds that we are sons and daughters of God, that we come to serve? Because if there's any level of pride in you, you're going to have a very difficult time serving because you don't think it's supposed to be done your way. And you want to be serving on your terms. Does a slave tell the master how it's supposed to work? It doesn't work that way, does it? No. It can't work that way. For it to be a functional, slave-master relationship, the slave cannot be the master. The slave can't take that position of master. And Jesus asked the disciples, are you greater than your master? Is the disciple greater than the teacher? No. So at the time that we think we can take that position, we can assume that authority of that role, what? Pride has just stepped in, because it's exactly what Satan did before the fall. He thought he could step into the role of God. Well, I can be God. I can ascend the throne of God. I can do what he does. I can do it better. He created you. What do you mean you can do it better? You are a created being. God always has been. We are created beings. So the time that we think we can do it better than God, we need to step back and repent first off and ask God for forgiveness for acting like that. But we need to do a heart check and figure out where that come in. Where was that seed planted? Who were we around? What were we taking in? Like she said, that what we take in is what we cultivate around us. It's what we develop around us. And that atmosphere that we carry with us is contagious. And we call Malone the cheerleading chipmunk for a reason. She's contagious. You get around her long enough, you can't help it. Either she's going to get on your nerves or you're going to get on board. It's one of the two. But she just has so much joy, it comes out. And that's okay. So I wish more of us to let the joy of the Lord come out of us instead of us sitting back and look like we ate something sour. Most of us look like we had, it's not pretty. It looks like we put something in our mouth. I love the Lord. Oh! It's not good. I don't want to be one of those people that think, I love the Lord. It looks like you're in pain when you say you love the Lord. Are you sure you love the Lord? Does it hurt that bad? I don't want God. But that's what we put out. That's what we're putting out for people to see when we act like that. Where we come in with a funky attitude, and it's a really negative attitude. Yeah, I'm tired a lot, but I still love God. I'm tired, but I'm good. Because I know God's got it. I may be in pain, but I'm good because I know God's got it. There's been times I've come up here, didn't know what I was going to do, didn't know how I was going to do it. I couldn't focus, body wasn't acting right. There's times I had to sit down because I hurt so bad. I said, I'm going to teach the Word of God because that's what God put on my heart to teach. It's very difficult for me to not be up here. Not because of pride, but because, man, what God's put on my heart, I want to share it. because I think it's necessary, not for me, but for you. And believe me, I'm getting fed whenever I go through this. And I sat there and looked over this passage, and I said, I just taught this passage, God, but you need to go over it again. But I just taught it. There's more to it. Come on, God. Can I do something else? No. Okay. Come on, this is my conversations with God. One of these days, you guys are going to start having conversations with God too, and you're going to figure out, Pastor Cory's not so crazy. But this is what I have. We'll go through this. I'm going to walk through it, and we'll break it down as we go. The king of Aram had great admiration for Naaman, the commander of his army, because through him the Lord had given Aram great victories. But though Naaman was a mighty warrior, he suffered from leprosy. Here's this mighty man, a good fighter, great thinker. Because if you're going to be in battle, you have to have a mindset that's being able to see the bigger picture. You have to be able to anticipate things. You've got to have the right focus, the right attitude to be able to do what you do, especially from a command standpoint. Because what? You're in charge of many people's lives. And here, the leader had great respect for this military leader because of what God had done through him. So he had great respect for him. Even though he was a servant under the king had great respect for him. To the point where the fact that he was sick, he needed help. He knew that he needed help. But it's interesting that even though he had a sickness, he didn't let that stop him from being the leader that he could be. Think about that. How many of us, because of ailments that we have, or troubles, turmoils, or things that we go through, we let that hold us back from the potential that God has called us to? He didn't let his leprosy, which was rampant at those times, and in those days, and there was different forms of it. There's varying forms of it. Some of it was just very, negligible. Some of it was very severe to the point where limbs would fall off, and 90% of the time, the end result was death because of the disease. But leprosy shows up in various forms. It's just a general term that the Bible uses, but you have to really do a lot of research to get into that side of it. But the form that he had was enough to where he could still function, he could still do, but it was still enough to be somewhat debilitating for him. But see, in our lives, the leprosy that we have today is sin. Or we have the struggle in our life, we have this thing that we deal with on a regular basis. We may keep it hid, but God knows about it. But if we're going to let that sin that we deal with keep us back from doing what God has called us to do, because God can take care of that sin that's in our life. Especially as children of His, we've been set free from it. The question is, when are we going to lay it down? When are we going to be done with it? As Elder Stephen has said, when are we going to just stop making excuses for it and be done with it? Amen? That's what it's going to come down to. Naaman did not make an excuse for his leprosy, did he? Because by saying, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I can't, he would have already been defeated. He wouldn't have been the leader that he was if he would have been defeated by his disease. My question is, how many of you have been defeated by your disease, or have allowed your disease to defeat you and keep you from fulfilling what God has called you to fulfill? I don't care what that is. Like I said, I still think about the guy that used to be real popular, man. I don't know what he's doing now. I pray that he's still around preaching. But he had cerebral palsy. He couldn't do anything but move his head. But man, he was on fire for God. He would do everything he could to preach. He couldn't speak all that well, but man, he would preach the word of God. He was in a wheelchair. Had to use a little thing to move his wheelchair with his head. But he was all over the world preaching the gospel. He didn't let his disability disable him from doing what God called him to do. Because he knew that God that he served was greater than his disability. I can tell you that God is greater in your life than whatever sin or whatever thing is in your life trying to hold you back. He's greater than it. But are you going to allow it to stop you from being used by God? I pray not. I'm not educated. I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of those things. I graduated high school, praise the Lord for that. I got my diploma. I graduated with honors, thank God. But you know what? What God has gifted me in is not education. What He's gifted me in is ability to lean on His Holy Spirit for understanding. Because if it wasn't for His Holy Spirit, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be able to share the Word of God, because the Word says that you have no need that man may teach you. Afterwards, the Holy Spirit has come upon you. If you're totally relying on the Holy Spirit, He will share and teach you and grow you in ways that no man ever could. No religious people or group of people ever could. I don't care how educated you are. You can educate yourself right out of Jesus' will. Okay? I don't know if you caught that or not, but you can educate yourself right out of Jesus' will. You can get over-intellectualized things so much to where you walk out of a relationship with God. Education's great. If you're going for it, go for it. I'm not going to say don't use it. Remember, it's a tool. Education is a tool, and that's all that it is. Don't let it cloud you. Don't let it get in the way of your relationship with God. Because even most seminaries nowadays, you've got to be very careful with, because they're starting to allow the world to influence their doctrine. And they're starting to compromise on things because they want people to come in. They still want to get that paycheck so they can keep on doing what they're doing. And they're compromising. They're not staying steadfast compromised and they let it go. Some of them didn't, but some of them do. It's like the different groups we've had recently that were staples in our country are compromising because of political influence from the gay community, from the homosexual community. They're compromising because of that. We cannot compromise with the enemy and think that we're going to stand fast with God. We can't. There is no compromise to be done with the enemy. Jesus didn't compromise when he was being tempted for 40 days. Why do we compromise? And reality is we've had nowhere near the temptation that Jesus did. We've had nowhere near that constant, just on it, like Jesus did. It was 40 days. That may not seem like much to you, but kids can relate to this principle. A minute can seem like hours. An hour seems like years to them. Imagine being with the enemy right there, 40 days, 40 nights, non-stop. Just constantly nagging. Jesus in no way compromised. We compromise at little, ow, I quit. We give in. Because we're not steadfast enough in God's word to say, you know what, no. I'm not going to stand for this. I'm not going to stand for the enemy coming in my home. I'm not going to stand for the enemy coming in my church. I'm not going to stand for the enemy coming in my workplace. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to allow it. I'm not defeated. I'm not going to roll over and play dead just because the enemy says, oh, no, I'm not scared. It doesn't work that way. He hasn't given me a spirit of fear. He hasn't given me a spirit of defeat. He's made me more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ. What do I have to be afraid of? What do I have to be worried about? He's already overcome the enemy. He already took the keys to his house. I think that's just awesome. I don't care how many times I read that scripture. That's just funny to me. Jesus is going to say, I'll take those, thank you. And walk right back out. You had your track. Mine. I took it back. That's just awesome. But you know you got authority and power when you go and take the keys to somebody's house. I tell you what, you have to kill me to take the keys to my house. Unless I offer it up freely, you have to kill me to get the keys to my house. Because that's my safety. That's my refuge. That's the place that my family comes in. That's where you want to be hard pressed to get the keys to my house. Jesus comes and said, those are mine. Walks up. The only person that has the keys to your house is Jesus, amen? And he needs to have them. He needs to have the keys to your heart. Not just, the back door, not just where he can only come into the certain room of your house. He needs to have access to every room in your heart. Those deep and dark places you try to hide. Those places that you try to cover up because of hurt, because of embarrassment, because of shame. He needs to have those. He needs to deal with those. He needs to set you free from those. He's already done it. You just need to, here, take it. I'm done. But don't let your disease hold you back. At this time, Aramean raiders had invaded the land of Israel, and among their captives was a young girl who had been given to Naaman's wife as a maid. This was common. This happened all the time. Okay? It goes on. Because one day the girl said to her mistress, I wish my master would go to see the prophet in Samaria. He would heal him of his leprosy. Very specific instructions here. The prophet in Samaria. But I like the care that this little slave girl has for her master. Her heart's right. She's still focused on God. She's not focused on her situation. She was sold into captivity. She was taken captive and made a slave. But her focus was still on God, and she still had God's love for her master. I wish that he'd go and get healed. That's the right attitude to have. How many of you have ever worked for a tyrant boss? You ever worked for a jerk? Yeah, I worked for a jerk. You ever been a jerk? Okay. We all have those moments, okay? But as believers, we need to have that same love no matter who we work under, who we work around. We need to have the love of Christ that says, you know what? I still wish for your good. I'm still praying for your good. Sometimes I wish they'd pray and they'd drop off a cliff, but we need to be praying for their good. There's a country song about that. It's kind of interesting. It's not a very good song. It's funny, but it's not a very good song. But we need to be praying for the deliverance. We need to be praying that God would move on their behalf and heal them. A lot of times, we don't know what they're dealing with whenever they come to work. We don't know why it is they're acting the way they're acting. We don't know what they're carrying with them that they're coming in, and now we're catching the tail end of it. We have no idea. So we get all defensive because we think we're somebody. We think we're special. Instead of being Christ-centered, we're self-centered. And we get all offended. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm not sure what's going on with you. Would you mind if I pray with you? Now, that might make them even madder, but that's okay. At least you made them mad for a good reason instead of mad because you were giving back to them what they were giving to you. But this little servant girl gave very specific instructions. I wish my master would go see the prophet, that he would heal him of his leprosy. That's awesome. What a heart. What a place of compassion to have. Even though she's in slavery, to still have that thing. Maybe some of you feel like you're in bondage, but do you still pray for your master? Do you still pray for those that may have kept you captive? Do you still pray for them? And wish their well. Verse 4. So Naaman told the king what the young girl from Israel had said. Go and visit the prophet. Now he relayed the message accurately. I will send a letter of introduction for you to take to the king of Israel. Didn't say nothing about going to the king. It said go to the prophet. But see, this is what happens when you're worldly minded. You want to please the world. You want to satisfy the things of the world. When God gives you specific instructions and specific directions, make sure you follow them. Don't try to do your own interpretation of them and try to navigate God's will and word for your life. God gives very specific. Whenever you read His word is very specific. He doesn't beat around the bush, but we want to try to interpret our own way. So the king's interpretation of his servant's message was, well, go see the king. Because what was the mentality of most kings in those days? Well, that they were God. And that they had all power. That they had all the authority. We're no different. How many times do we think we have all power and all authority? We do it. We may not say it out loud that way, but our actions show it a lot of times. We have all power and all authority. We're the end all. We're the stops with me. The buck stops here, buddy. No, the buck stops with Jesus. And that's it. It doesn't go anywhere else. So again, you see right here, the breakdown is, I've read over this numerous times. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that this happened. But didn't follow the instructions. I believe that little girl heard a word from the Lord because she had God's heart. And shared that out of concern. And Naaman heard it, and he shared it the right way. How quickly do we allow somebody else to come in and say, well, I want you to do this because, Now God said it this way, and this is the way it needs to happen. But I want you to know, there is no buts. There is no compromise. God said do it this way, this is the way I'm going to do it. But it doesn't make any sense. Good. Because if it made sense to you, then it wouldn't probably be God. I've had God ask me to do some strange things. God has asked me to pray with people and do some ridiculous things. And I'm thinking, really? That is just odd. He goes, I'm glad you're not using my thoughts. I'm glad you're not using what I'm doing. I want you to do what I told you to do. Don't question it, just do it. But God, how many times do we bug God? We give God an excuse before we say, okay. That's all God's looking for, okay. He's not looking for an excuse. He's looking for your obedience. Okay? Stop excusing things and do what God says. But because of Naaman's servant to the king, he says, he went out. He says, I will send a letter of introduction for you to take to the king of Israel. So Naaman started out carrying as gifts 750 pounds of silver. That's a lot. 150 pounds of gold. Can you imagine what that would be worth today? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of wealth. And the fact that, you look at, though, the respect that the king had for his servant to send this as a gift. Please heal my servant. His intentions were right. His focus was wrong. But you can see the heart that he had here by sending this great gift. If we would just do this for my servant, it's yours. I would give it to you. See, God sent us a gift to heal us from our disease. If we would just receive it, that being Jesus. What greater gift can you ask for than the life of somebody else? And we didn't even ask for it. He gave it freely. We just have to receive it. Moving on. And 10 sets of clothing. The letter to the king of Israel said, with this letter I present my servant Naaman. I want you to heal him of his leprosy. Again, best of intention, worst possible result. Lost focus. Didn't pay attention to who you're supposed to go to. My question is, who do you turn to first when something comes up in your life? Exactly, that's what you should answer. But how many of us don't? I mean, the first thing we return to is our own reasoning. We try to figure it out. We try to step in that gap of God. Instead of saying, God, what meaneth this? We're thinking, self, what meaneth this? Self, how did you allow yourself to get here? Self, what did you do? Instead of saying, God, I need help. Help me understand. Help my unbelief. Help God. Instead of saying, oh God, we old self. We do that so many times. I like the other king's response. This is funny. When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes in dismay and said, this man sends me a leper to heal him. Am I God that I can give life and take it away? I can see that he's just trying to pick a fight with me. Has politics changed? No. Okay? He's viewing this as a political thing. The other king, in all sincerity, is trying to get his servant healed. Okay? But because of the political unrest, they've all brought it about themselves. The situations that they're in, both kings have brought this on themselves. The king of Israel's pride, and the other king being there just wanting to be an antagonist. They brought this relationship upon themselves, so the response that he had was legitimate. I do like his answer, though, am I God? At least he had sense enough to say, well, I'm not God. I can't perform this type of thing. I can do a lot, but I can't do that. The reality is we can do nothing without Christ. But at least he has sense enough to know that. Okay? But, I love when there's buts in the Bible. It's awesome. When Elijah, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes in dismay, boy, Newstrap was fast in his kingdom. When you think about it, how quick did that have to happen for Elijah to get word of this? We'll see how quick it can happen here in a few minutes when we get to the end of the story. When you're in tune with God, things show up real quickly. He sent this message to him. Now, I love the boldness of this prophet. I love Elijah's boldness. I absolutely love it. A few stories back, we see where he went to the kings and he tells the one king, what would I have to do with you? If it wasn't for the other king, I wouldn't even acknowledge you as being here. That's pretty bold to say to a king that has, the ability to kill you. You don't mean nothing to me, buddy. Anyway, that's just disrespectful and rude all around. Okay, look at it. But that was the boldness that Elisha had. I wish more men and women of God would have that type of boldness to step up and say, you know what? You've denied God. You've done everything contrary to what the Word of God says. You know what? You've made your choice. I'm going to respect you. But you've made your choice. But if it wasn't for the fact that I'm having to deal with this person right here, right now, I wouldn't have acknowledged you. Because the reality is God's not going to acknowledge us if we don't, or those of us that have said we have acknowledged Christ but really haven't, when we stand before Him, He's going to say, depart from me for I never knew you. He's not going to acknowledge you. He's going to say, depart from me. It's those of us that have come to know Him, He's going to say, welcome in. Well done. Enter into the place of rest that I have for you. See, that's a significant difference. Basically what Elijah was saying, because of this other king's pride, I have nothing to do with you. I don't know you. I have nothing to do with you. You've made your bed. And so that's reality. There's so many of us that are going to say, well, Lord, Lord. Lord, what? I don't know you. You haven't done nothing for me. Yeah, you've done all these things in my name, but I don't have a relationship with you. You don't get on by what you do. It's by what Christ did. Then a relationship develops afterwards. Amen? But Elijah, he says, why are you so upset? That's just funny. Sometimes the worst time you can ask somebody why they're upset, when you know the situation and you ask them, well, why are you mad? I've had that happen so many times. I'd be upset and people know why I'm upset and they still ask me, why are you upset? They got this deer in the headlight, oh, why are you so upset? I don't understand why you're mad. I just want to get or touch him. Not through me because I might knock him out. Pray for forgiveness. I'm supposed to act like that, but I do it. And so do you. So don't look at me like that. He says, send him to me, and he will learn that there is a true prophet here in Israel. A true prophet. How many false prophets were there in these days? If you understand anything about the Old Testament, there were false prophets running rampant. It was the thing, man. If you were a false prophet, you could make some good money. It's still the same today. Have you turned on the Christian channel? Christian channel? There's a lot of false prophets on there that preach a lot of garbage. And they're making good money off of it. And there's some people out there that claim to be Christians tell you church is a good business. And it really is. If you look at it from a worldly standpoint, church is a great business. But they're in the business from a financial standpoint. I'm in the business because of for the salvation standpoint, the soul standpoint. That's the numbers I want to see racking up. I want to see souls racking up. The church isn't for the saved, it's for the lost. That's reality. Other than that, we become Christian recycling centers. Just recycle them, refurbish them, make them look pretty, and send them back out. Then we get a new group in, we recycle them, refurbish them, send them back out. It's just an ongoing cycle. Christians coming in. Where's the lost? There's dying and going to hell. Where are they at this morning? Still dying and going to hell. Because we're not bold enough to share the Word of God with them. We're not bold enough to share our testimony. Why not a preacher, evangelist? Yeah, but you're a child of God. You already said, go. You're already a disciple. No, I'm not. Did you say yes to Jesus? Yes. Then you're a disciple. So guess what? He told his disciples to go. You're not exempted. can't speak well. Neither could Moses. Send him too. I'm not educated. Good. Neither was Peter. He was a fisherman and a bit of a big mouth. A little presumptuous, a little prideful, a little arrogant. Always chewing on his feet. I wouldn't get too close to him because his breath probably smelled like foot. That was Peter. I love Peter. Get Paul. He had little man syndrome.
John.
Yeah. John, because he was close to Jesus, he thought he was something. Yeah, it's just, every one of them. If you look at the disciples, they had their own little personality issues. You see it come out when they're right. But Paul had the opportunity to be very prideful. But God knew his heart and gave him a thorn in the flesh. And I thank God for the thorns in the flesh, amen? Because that keeps us humble before him, so we constantly go before him. So he sent him the prophet. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elisha's house. Catch us again. Remember the pride of presumption. He's already presumed how this thing's supposed to take place, how his healing is supposed to come about. How many of you do that when you go to God? God, this is what I'm expecting, this is what I'm praying for, and this is how you're going to do it. Okay? And then we get upset when God doesn't do it that way. Then we get mad at God. He gives us the answer, but we don't like the way he gave it to us. Instead of being thankful, we want to whine and complain. Lord, we need food. He gives them manna. Lord, we need meat. He gives them birds. That's not good enough. We want the food like we had in Egypt. But you were in slavery. But at least we had food. It changed. We've had this stuff for 40 years. Yeah, but it's fresh every day. It's good stuff every day. Your clothes aren't wearing out. What you complaining about? Lord, with today's cost of clothing, we'd be extremely excited about that. The fact that it doesn't wear out. And food. Goodness gracious, what, milk's like $3.49? Almost the price of gas? It's like pouring milk in your gas tank. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, don't do that. It'll kill your car very quick. So he gets there, and he's outside of Elisha's house. Now, mind you, Elisha said, come to me. So he's already got his mind, I'm supposed to go see this guy, Elisha. But Elisha sent a messenger out to him with this message. First of all, he didn't get to see the person he's supposed to see. He got sent a servant. He's already upset now. He's already been put off twice now. He's been put off by the king, and now he's been put off by the person he's supposed to come see by a servant. He's already starting to see little seeds of agitation start to grow. Okay? Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored, and you will be healed of your leprosy. How many of you know the Jordan River is a dirty river? It's just gross. It's dirty. Naaman knew that. Like, you tell me to go wash. I've traveled here. The king put me off. The guy was a jerk. And I was told to come here, and now I don't get to talk to the guy I'm supposed to talk to, and you're telling me to go wash in a dirty river. Right. You can go wash in a dirty river. That's what's going through what be going through my mind. Don't lie, it's where you'd be at too. Tell me to go wash in a dirty river. What do you think I'm kidding? Watch, let's see what he says. But Naaman became angry and stalked away. I thought he would certainly come out to meet me. He said, I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord his God and heal me. Performing magic. He wanted the show. Exactly. He wanted the pomp and circumstance. He wanted the experience. But you're not always going to get that type of experience with God. Not everyone's going to have that type of experience with God. God will move in a still small voice. Remember what he did with Elijah beforehand? Gave him the storm, gave him the earthquake, gave him all these different things. It wasn't even in that. It was a still small voice. That's how God moves and begins his healings in that still small voice. And whether you listen or not. And he goes on and says, aren't the rivers of Damascus and the Abana and the Pharpar better than any of the rivers of Israel? First of all, he already had prejudice. I can go back to my home country and get those rivers. At least I know what I know. Those are at least clean. Those are nice. But you want me to go wash in a dirty Jordan? Are you kidding me? How could that possibly be beneficial? Already trying to bring it down to the flesh level. By what you can see with your eyes. Can I tell you that God's healing is not going to manifest itself by what you see with your eyes? God's miracle is not going to manifest itself by what you can see with your physical. It will not happen. God's miracle is going to be manifested by what you see with your spirit. And what you see and hear. That's where it manifests. And then it will be translated into your life accordingly. But if you can't get your spirit walk right, the miracle's not going to happen. If you can't get your relationship right with God, it's not going to happen because your will is not going to line up with his will. Naaman's will was lining up with his flesh and what he thought about. Instead of saying, maybe the prophet said it, maybe I should just do it. God's not going to tell you what makes sense to you to go do. He says, why shouldn't I wash in them and be healed? So Naaman turned and went away in rage. How quickly quickly do we get put off sometimes when God doesn't answer us the way we want Him to answer. We get mad at God. Because we got the answer. He gave us the answer, but that wasn't good enough for us. So now we're going to go somewhere else. We're going to do something else. I'm going to seek the answer somewhere else because that couldn't possibly be the answer that God has for me. How many times? I know I've done that. How many times have you done that? But as officers, again, another but. I like this. Tried to reason with him and said, sir, if the prophet had told you to do something very difficult, wouldn't you have done it? That's no different than our response. If it's been overly complicated, now that's of God. That must be of the Lord because that is extremely complicated and extremely difficult. That must be the answer. But they hit the nail on the head. If it had been like you were normally expecting to get, you would have went out and done it no problem. You would have jumped in that river gladly. If it had been something difficult. If you had to go through some hoops to even get to the river, you probably would have done it right off the get-go. So you should certainly obey him when he says simply go and wash and be cured. I like how they broke it down because that's exactly what, just go wash and be healed. That's it. Keep it simple. We're the ones that overcomplicate things. We overcomplicate the Word of God when we're studying it. We overcomplicate the Word of God in our relationship with Him because we think it's somehow supposed to be a certain way and we don't just try to develop a relationship with God. Because He's going to speak to you and relate to you in a way that you understand it. He's going to give you His Word and His understanding the way you understand it. That's why when you hear different preachers preach, they all have their own personality. They have their own way of preaching. Because why? God speaks to them the way they understand. And whenever you go before your congregation, you're going to share the way that God has given it you to share it. Don't try to be somebody else. Be who God called you to be. When you share the good news of what God's doing, be you. Don't try to be some other pastor. Don't try to be some other person. Now, if they have the truth, fine, share the truth. But don't try to be them. Don't try to do it like them. Don't try to be them. Be who God called you to be. And let it happen. Let it flow. God made you beautiful just the way you are. I love that song. So he goes. He gave in. At least he had sense enough to be reasoned with. Even though he was angry, he had sense enough to be reasoned with. So Naaman went down to the Jordan River and dipped himself 7 times, as the man of God had instructed him. And his skin became healthy as the skin of a young child's, and he was healed. How simple would it have been just for him, instead of getting angry, instead of going through all that drama, just to go to the river and dunk 7 times. But man, made his skin like a baby's skin. Fresh and just beautiful. And Naaman had to be somewhat of an age to be a leader of the army and have the experience that he had. You know, by that time, because of being out in the sun, being out in the wilderness, stuff like that, his skin was going to be affected by the sun and everything else, but God gave him new skin. How many of us need new skin? How many of us could use a refresh in that part of our life? Sometimes God needs to refresh our exterior for us. But the question is, will you be obedient so that he can do that? I like Moses. Moses came off the mountain with a globe. They asked him to cover it up, said it was too much. Said they can't handle it. God physically transformed his exterior. How many of you have met people that have been walking with the Lord a long time, and you can look at their exterior no matter how old they are, and there's just something about them, man. It's like, I want that. I still think of Pastor Bill. Pastor Bill's getting up there. Pastor Bill's in his 80s. But that man just has a fire about him. It's just undeniable. And he's very humble, but he's very straightforward. He doesn't beat around the bush with his words. But there's a confidence in him. There's a peace that's settled over him, and a true relationship with God that only someone that's walking with God is going to show. But he didn't have to say anything. You can just see it. It comes off of him. What do people see in your life? Do they see God? Or do they see your social group? Do they see the other things around you? Or do they see God coming off of you? He went back. God says, now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel, so please accept a gift from your servant. He desperately wanted to give this gift to Elijah. But Elijah replied, as surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept any gifts. And then Naaman urged him to take the gift. Elijah refused. Elijah, I don't need it. What we say, you got it? I'll take it. Put it in my bank account. I'll go for it. But Elijah, what? He got his reward from the Lord. He got his gift from God. Amen? How many of you understand, when you get satisfied with things of God, the riches of this world are really insignificant. When you're satisfied and you're walking in a relationship with God, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much social status you have. None of that matters. It's your walk with God that matters. And when you have that right, everything else is insignificant. But he told him, I don't need it. I want it. Keep it. That's the right heart to have. I appreciate it, but keep it. And he goes on. He said, all right, please allow me to load 2 of my mules with earth from this place, and I will take it back home with me. From now on, I will never again offer burnt offerings or sacrifices to any other God except the Lord. That's a life-changing experience. Still the old hymn, because the thing was they would take from wherever they were as a remembrance of their homeland when they would worship. It's just like the Muslims they always pray to the east at a certain time of the day. They have to do everything a certain way. It's kind of the same principle. Yep, it's that reminder. Why do we carry crosses as believers? Why do we wear crosses? Why do we do these things? We take it with us every day. It's not the cross is anything really necessarily. It's what it attaches for us. What it symbolizes to us. I mean, granted, the world's made the cross just an accessory, but for those of us that believe it, it's beauty. It's awesome because we recognize what was done on that cross, the work that was complete. And he goes on, he says, however, may the Lord pardon me in this one thing. When my master, the king, goes into the temple of the god Rimmon to worship there and leans on my arm, may the Lord pardon me when I bow too. Because I'm not bowing my heart. I may be bowing my physical body, but I'm not bowing my heart because I have to serve the king. He's asking that the Lord would forgive him for that because that's part of his service to his king. He has to do it. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. Don't compromise your walk. He's physically there because he has to be physically be there. But he's not bound. But if you can get out of it, get out of it. Okay? And Elisha says, go in peace. Isn't that awesome? Go in peace. He got there. He was frustrated with Elijah. He was angry with Elijah. Got healed. He went back and said, thank you so much. He humbled him. God humbled him. Naaman's pride was humbled. And because of that humble and that humiliation, he came to know the Lord. What did it take for you to come to know the Lord? What did God have to break in you for you to come to know him? For some of us, we were lucky. I was young when I accepted the Lord, so I didn't have to really go through a whole lot. Well, for some of us, as we get older, it gets very difficult to come to know the Lord and to walk in a relationship with God, because by that time, we've already been experienced. We've already experienced the world. We've already experienced religion. We've already experienced all these other things. So it's very difficult for us to come to a relational God when we have all these other religious things going on in our life. But the pride of position. Gehazi. Very quickly, I'm going to go through this and we'll be done. The servant of Elisha, the man of God, said to himself, my master should not have let this Arab man get away without accepting any of his gifts. As surely as the Lord lives, I will chase after him and get something from him. I'm sorry, but if my master would have said no, that should have been an indication that I should say no too. If Jesus says no, that means you should say no. Don't think you know a better way. That'd be like Peter and Paul saying, Peter comes and, hey, Andrew, I think Jesus lost his mind. Let's go do it anyway. No. If Jesus says no, that's good enough. Let it be. Don't try to second guess. Don't say, well, I think we know a better way, Jesus. Let's, I can just imagine them whenever it comes to the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, what they were thinking. Jesus, you want me to what? We got 5 and 2. 12,000 plus. It's crazy. But see, Jesus breaks it and gives it to them to pass out. Jesus already had it settled in his mind what was going to happen. He already prayed and asked God to bless it. He knew what was going to happen. So the gift and the miracle actually happened as they were breaking the bread and giving it out. It didn't happen at the table where Jesus was. It happened in the disciples' hands as they were being obedient, following God. You catch that? That's the cool thing about that passage. The miracle happened in their hands as they were passing it out. And it was being multiplied. They were just giving it. It didn't stop. And then when they were done, they were able to pick up 12 baskets full of leftovers. So they got to eat too. And eat good. Baskets, that's a lot. That's a basket for each disciple. That's pretty good. That's a good takeout. But the miracle happened in their hands. Whenever God performs a miracle, it isn't for him. It's for us. The miracles happen for us. It's to build us, to encourage us, to strengthen us. That's what the miracle's for. But ultimately, it's to point us back to him. But Gehazi, I thought he had a better way. So they went after him. When Naaman said, guys, I ran after him, he climbed down from, or saw it, he climbed down from his chariot. What met him, is everything all right? He says, yes. But my master has sent me. First of all, did the master send him?
No.
No, who sent him? Himself. His pride, his arrogance sent him. How many times do we presume and to go ahead and do things that we probably shouldn't do? Because we think we know better? We do that a lot. Okay? It wasn't that, Elisha had sent him. He sent himself. But he used the excuse to put it off on him. To tell you that the two young prophets from the hill country of Ephraim have just arrived. He would like 75 pounds. No one arrived, first off. 75 pounds of silver and 2 sets of clothing to give them. He wasn't worried about them. He was worried about himself. That's just like Adam and Eve. Adam, the woman. Eve, the serpent. And not only did Adam blame the woman, he blamed God. You gave her to me. It's your fault. No different than the gays out here. You say, no, well, master sent me for 2 other people. I had nothing to do with it. How many times are you going to excuse your mess instead of being obedient to what God calls you to do? Sometimes you need to stay out of things. But he took advantage of Naaman's generosity. He took advantage of the blessing. Instead of being thankful for just for the fact that he gets to serve God, he took advantage of something else that wasn't even his to take advantage of. How many times do we do that? So he took it. It says, by all means, take twice as much silver. Naaman insisted. He gave him 2 sets of clothing, tied up the money in 2 bags, and sent the 2 of his servants to carry the gifts for Gehazi. But when they arrived at the citadel, Gehazi took the gifts from the servants and sent them back. Said, get out of here. Master Gehazi, come on, I'll take it from here. I got it. He knew he was about to be busted. How often have you done that? You got to help him to the one point. Like, you gotta go. They can't see me. I know what I'm doing, but they can't see me doing it. Remember, when you're in tune with God, this is interesting what happens. Love it. Then he went and hid the gifts inside the house. When he went into his master, Elijah asked him, where have you been? I haven't been anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. Isn't that just like what God asked Adam? Adam, where are you? I'm hiding in the bushes. I haven't been anywhere. But Elijah asked him, don't you realize that I was there in spirit when Naaman stepped down from his chariot to meet you? Uh-oh. I'm busted. You would have thought that Gehazi, being with Elijah as long as he had, he would have got the picture that, Elijah had, connection with God. He had special knowledge and knew a lot of things before they happened, or as they were happening, so you couldn't really pull anything over Elijah's eyes here. He gets back home. And all of a sudden he says, I was there whenever he got off his chariot. What do you say at that point? See, I've had the same experience. I've had it done to me, and I've been on the other side of it where, like Elijah, I was sharing with somebody else, and they're just looking at it like, what do you do at that point? Hopefully it's repentance. Hopefully it's a coming to Jesus moment. Whenever you get called on the carpet like that, hopefully it's a coming to Jesus saying, I am sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. We're still staying in denial. But look what it cost Gehazi. Elijah asked him, is this the time to receive money and clothing, olive groves and vineyards, sheep and cattle, and making male and female servants? Because you have done this, you and your descendants will suffer from Naaman's leprosy forever. Wow. Man. Was Gehazi necessarily a bad servant? Had he ever really? Not necessarily. But we have to be careful the actions and things that we set into motion. We don't know what we're setting up for those that are coming behind us. We don't know what an object of motion will stay in motion. And every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Those are laws. Those are fundamental laws. Whenever you do certain things, it happens. Okay? What he did set into motion that affected the rest of his family forever. Because of his pride. Because of his selfishness. Because you know what? I know a better way. My master must have been mistaken. He's the master for a reason. Jesus is our master for a reason. There is no better way. It's his way or no way. And as I left the room, he was covered with leprosy. His skin was white as snow. It didn't appear to be just what Naaman had. It appeared to be slightly greater. But it happened like that. quickly sometimes God will move to correct you. Now, this didn't destroy him, but it was a severe form of discipline. And it was a constant reminder all the days of his life of that one moment. See, Proverbs talks about, whenever we go in and lay with strange women and things like that, how that stuff can burn in our bodies. Talking about diseases. When you want to mess around in the wrong environments, there's certain things that can get attached to you that will cause effects in your life the rest of your life. And you'll have to deal with it the rest of your life. Don't let your pride and arrogance get in the way and cloud your judgment. We're given guidelines for a reason. We're given rules and structure for a reason. God does it not to bind us and to hold us down, but to really to set us free. I took the youth through Andy Stanley's series, 7 checkpoints. One of those things is ultimate freedom. What? Following the rules. When you work within the system, there's freedom that comes from that, and people don't realize it. You use the system like it's supposed to be used, and there's a lot of freedom that comes with it. But whenever you want to go against it, there's repercussions that happen. Amen? How many of you have ever done that? Worked against the system because your way was better? I've done it. I know I've done it. Recently. So this isn't a lesson I'm sharing with you that hasn't happened recently. And God brought me to account and said, hey, if you don't get this thing straight, this is exactly what's going to happen. Oh, man. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. But that nature in me. That's why we have to get up every day and have a self-check every day. God, what am I doing for you today? How am I going to do it for you today? How am I going to, get it right? Or God, if I didn't get it right yesterday, Lord, forgive me. Help me get it right today. Don't let my pride, don't let my position cloud where you've placed me. Because my position is not my own, God. You've put me there. Why? Let me be of use to you wherever I am. Let me be a light wherever I am. Let me be a witness wherever I am. But let me be your witness and not the world's witness. Let me be yours and not self-witness. Let the gospel that I preach be louder by my actions than by my words. And whenever people are around me, they'll want to come to know you. Not just because of who I am, but because who you are in and through me. Amen?
Amen.
Pride of position, guys, we've got to lay it down. Because it creates so many different things in our lives that tears us away from Jesus. So this morning, if that's something you're dealing with, something you've dealt with, and maybe you see it rearing its ugly head again, maybe it's time to lay it down. Because I can tell you it's not about your education. It's not about your job title. It's not even about you. It's about Christ and Him alone. The promotion comes from above. It comes from God. So wherever you are, you're there because God put you there. Or He allowed you to be there because of your choices and your actions. Make the best of the situation. Paul said, I become content in all situations. When you come to a place of contentedness, because you're content in the Lord, it doesn't matter your situation. You're still going to sit there and glorify God. I think of Paul and Silas singing praises to the Lord, and God opens up the prison. This morning, as you sing praises and honor to God, you might be in a prison this morning. Let God open up those doors. Amen. Let's worship Him this morning. For those of you who know, we do our worship at the end. But worship freely. Worship openly. Don't be ashamed. Lift up your voices to God. If you can't sing, that's okay. Not to most of the rest of us. Make a joyful noise to God this morning. But bow your hearts. Get your pride out of the way. And worship Him this morning. Whenever you're ready, listen.